Hello, everyone. This is your host of Naturalist F, Dr. Ferrante Frazier. I'm so excited about our show today. We're going to be teaching you a little bit more about health. A lot of us don't know what health is. All we hear from the medical doctor is disease, disease, disease. We look at the television, you don't see the doctors emphasizing what health is. They're just talking about their disease that they tend to cure. You got the eye doctor only talking glaucomas and cataracts and all type of stuff like that. And you got the bone specialist only talking about characters of bone issues. You got the lung doctor only talking lung diseases, heart doctor only talking heart diseases. But none of them is explaining what true health is. They're only talking about what disease is. And that's all we go to them for, disease, disease. But you ever seen anybody going to a health doctor saying, hey, I'm going to learn about health. I'm going to check on health. No, I'm going to check on my heart, it's hurting. I'm going to check on my lungs, it's hurting. I'm going to check, I got aches in my muscles and my bones. So we go to doctors when we're suffering with diseases, and they educate us on disease. But we don't go to doctors about health. What is health? I want to feel great and stuff like that. And so we neglecting our own health and our own happiness because we're concentrated only on disease. So we don't know what health is. So we're going to dedicate this show to learning about what health is, and we're also going to learn about what holistic means. Because a lot of us don't understand what holistic means, and we use that term um, loose. I mean, really loose. Anything that's not medical, we tend to call holistic, when that's not actually the case. It's not natural and it's not healthy. It's not whole. When we look at the situation that a lot of people deem holistic, you know, people would think holistic health is putting mud on your face, drinking cat urine, um, using snake venom. All these different things are not medical, but they're not natural either. They're not holistic, but we tend to call it holistic. I want to thank the ATR Media platform for allowing us to, air another show, Naturalist F, that we do every Tuesday. That's all things relevant Black media on YouTube, and also on um, our Facebook page that you can go to and learn about, um, all the shows that they have, all things that's relevant. Our show every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, like you're tuning in right now. For those who are listening to it live, we're right here, right now, talking to you. If you have any questions, you can put them on there, and we can respond to you right now. If you're having issues, and it don't have to be even anything about well, it's going to be about health, because that's all we talk about. You can't be putting nothing up there talking about man, you know how to change a Cadillac converter in the car. Even though I might know a little bit about it, but that's not my expertise, and it's not what the show about. So if you're asking questions about that type of stuff, it might be a little difficult for me. I might tell you I'll get back with you on that. But if we're talking about the human body and health, anything dealing with the emotions and the mindset of man, we can definitely help guide you in the right direction to obtain that perfection that you desire in those areas. We believe that natural hygiene is the way to superlative health. It's the most superlative means to getting healthy out here known to man right now. And then there's concepts in the mental and spiritual world as well that are ideal for us to get to our higher self, to be the best that we can be at the end of the day. That's the whole objective, being the best we can be in our mind, body, and in our feeling world. All right. So if you have any questions, like we said, make sure you put it down there, and our producers will definitely let me know aware, because he'll post it, and when you put those questions up, um, I'll read it off, and we'll go ahead and try to address it. Anything that you're suffering with, it's open. We're here. It's like you're at the doctor office right now. We're in here, so you can talk about your issue, and we can address it, where we can get you on the right path without you ever having to step foot in our office. We right here, alive and waiting on you. But in the meantime, until somebody says something, we're going to continue our show. Don't worry about interrupting me. But we also want to thank all our viewers that come in every week listening, and those who share, who don't feel that it's robbery to share our video on their platforms, on their walls, calling other people and letting them know, hey, that guy talking about health on that fruit eating dude is on the show right now. He's talking about how to get rid of this and how to get rid of that and how to heal this and how to heal that. Call me that guy. But make sure you get people in here to listen. The more we get health back into the momentum in our world, we don't have to worry about so much suffering in our world. We can cut back on going to the cemetery. We can cut back. Now, the mortuary guy might get mad at us because he's going to cut down on his business. The emergency room might get a little upset. The hospital might get a little upset. The pharmaceutical people may get a little deterred. But, we don't care about none of that. They benefit from our demise, but we want to put them out of business. We want to put some of these mortuaries out of business. Too many of them springing up around here. We almost ain't got no plots in these cemeteries to put people in anymore because it's filling up. This year, in the last couple of years, they filled up a lot of places where they're putting people on top of people. There ain't even no ground to put them in no more. They're building them up, putting them in little buildings, stacking them on top of each other, or stacking them on top of each other in the holes that they're in the ground. All because we don't really know what health is. It's a thing that Dr. Shelton said in his hygienic book called Natural Hygiene, the Man's Pristine Way of Life. Is Man's Pristine Way of Life by Dr. Herbert Shelton. And in chapter 8, which is What is Health, he asked the question himself. And he said, much of health is a much neglected subject. Medical literature does not contain a definition for health. When you go to see what health is, most times the people are just saying you're not sick. You're healthy if you're not sick, but that's not really describing what health is. This is not surprising, Dr. Shelton continued, saying, as health has never been the subject of the medical man's attention. Disease has been his specialty and cures his stock of trade. With all of medicine's preoccupation with disease, medical literature does not contain a definition of disease. Beyond the vague generalization that disease is a departure from the normal, the medical profession possesses no semblance of a definition for that which is the object of its special attention. Now, here it is, it's saying that they don't even know what disease is. Disease to them is just mean that you're sick, you're not feeling well, but it doesn't, it's all kind of things can have you not feeling well. You cannot be feeling well in your thought. You can not be feeling well. But so they're saying it's a departure from feeling healthy. But what is healthy? Well, you're not normal. Well, what is normal? You can have a person who have 6 feet instead of 2 feet. And you can say, well, this person is not normal. He diseased. Well, who to say? He got 6 feet. He can kick 6 people at one time. He's actually superhuman. He should be more healthier because instead of just only having 2 legs, he got 6 legs. If a person have a 5 eyes on his head, you say, oh, he's not normal. He's diseased. That's sick. There's something wrong with him. But obviously, he can see all around his head. He got eyes everywhere. So obviously he's really more powerful than a person. He's more healthier than the man with 2 eyes. 2 eyes give you limitation. 2 legs will give you limitation from a person who got, 6 feet. So what really is the normal when we look at it? All right. So it's normal for individuals to have 2 feet. So having 3 feet, would that be disease? Or would that actually be, just even more powerful? So when we look at the issues going on in our world, well, what is normal? Who set the stage for what is normal? What if we're all diseased because we only having 2 feet right now? What if everybody in the world is diseased right now who walk on 2 feet, and we actually should have a third leg? All right. But we are diseased as mankind as a whole because we don't have the third leg, which would be the normal way for men to have, who knows? But we see that, what is normal? What is health? When we go to the doctor, you have people in all shapes, sizes, condition, and just because they don't, the medical doctor machine don't read, well, the pressure up, or he's suffering with something wrong on their machine, the person is healthy. This person can be overweight, 200 pounds overweight. They can have, issues on their body. But long as the meter reads okay, they say, I'm healthy. I'm not suffering disease anymore. You go to the doctor complaining that you got diabetes, all right, or high blood sugar, same thing. It's just that the medical term is diabetes. That's where they can um, control the way you talk. If you just say high blood pressure, that's the condition. I mean, high blood sugar, that's the condition. So you go to them and suffering with it is high. So you're diseased. All right. But you go and take the pill and it brings it down. So now you're no longer diseased, they say. You're back to normal because you took their potion. Even though your lifestyle habits are still toxic and your body hasn't corrected what's causing your high blood sugar. It's just you got a crutch. Your eyes are getting dim. You can't see naturally. But with glasses, it can magnify what you're seeing. So did you restore health, or did you just add a crutch to the body? Did you add health by putting glasses on, or did you just put a handicap or put crutches on the eyes and say, "Ooh, now you can see"? So is this person healthy again with this big old glass, straddle their nose? Is the person healthy because they're taking insulin shots every day now? Is the person healthy? They're taking cholesterol pills and high blood pressure medicine. Are they healthy? What is health? Who in Savannah can we put up ourselves and say this person is a model of health? Who do we model by? Model health to? Who look healthy? Who resembles health? Do we have to have big bulging muscles? We can't barely breathe and veins popping out of our neck to say, oh, that person's healthy? Or do we need to be skinny, mini, with no muscles whatsoever to consider ourselves healthy? Or is there in between? If we're not coughing, if we're not having diarrhea, what do we model health behind? What is the healthy state of mankind? Is it just, not having any type of form of disease or dis-ease or discomforts, or not complaining about any issues? What is the length of a man supposed to be? Because you got some people who are short, some people who are tall. Is a short man disease, or is the tall man disease? What is health? That's what we're asking these questions, that to get you in the mindset to think about what is health? We see that Dr. Shelton wrote on. I want to read a little more about what he's saying. He's a major figure in hygienic health, so I do share a lot of his information. If we may accept as true the proposition that disease is a departure from the normal, then it follows logically that the normal is health. You know, we look at normal people and say they're healthy, but they're not really thriving. They're just surviving. But what is normal? The normal is the standard. This is Dr. Sheltonbeck talking. That was my own little outburst. The normal is the standard, and it is possible to accept false standards. So the normal is the standard, and it is possible to accept false standards, even very low ones. The word normal is all too commonly used to mean the usual, the customary, the average. In its very nature, the average is a low standard. It is much below the higher standards represented by those specimens that are above the average. In other words, it sounds like Dr. Shelton said that, you know, we have weakened ourselves so much that we've taken ourselves as being healthy as being just average old humans, not able to pick up cars or, you know, grow to a statue like gods and, you know, Zeus and Venuses. But we have become little Minnie Mouses, and we say that we can be a Minnie Mouse as long as we're not coughing or sneezing, we're healthy. That's what it sounds like he's saying. If we skip around in his chapter a little bit, he went on to say, our word health is derived from the Saxon word for whole. So what is health? You know, I went on just to talk about a lot just then about, you know, our concept of what health is. You know, long as I'm not on medicine, I'm healthy. Even though you're suffering, you're overweight and all type of things like that. But you're just not taking medicine. I ain't never had diabetes or high blood pressure. But you're not thriving. You can't run down the street. You cannot, you know, run upstairs and all this type of stuff without tiring out and feeling fatigue. You're having colds throughout the year. You're having periods of constipation and diarrhea. But he said, but overall, I'm healthy. You know. But Dr. Shelton says in his book, he said, our word health is derived from the Saxon word for whole. Heal is derived from the same word and means to restore to a state of wholeness, soundness, and integrity. Now, holy comes from the same root and signifies wholeness and purity of mind. All right. So he said, our word health, what we call in English health, it came from the Saxon word for whole. Whole in this English Saxon word is now health in our language. Heal also came from that root word, which means to restore to a state of wholeness, soundness, and integrity. Holy, which you read in the Bible, all us Christians and other religious gurus, if we look up the word holy in the Saxon word, we see it also mean to what we call health here now today. It's the same word translated, and it signifies wholeness and purity of mind. Taken in its fullness of meaning, this Dr. Shelton talking again. Taken in its fullness of meaning, health is completeness and perfection of organization, fitness of life. So the body, the mind, the emotions must be in a organized fitness of life, a completeness. You got to be complete. You got to have freedom of action, range of motion. It can do whatever. There should be no limit. You know, most of us, we got to sit down after walking downstairs and going to the mailbox. We huffing and puffing. You know, we don't. We always saying, I don't think I can do that. You know, we don't have that complete freedom of action and harmony of function. A body can't function without letting us know that there's something wrong. There's some type of disease, without some type of pain, without some type of burping, without some type of diarrhea. Our vigor and freedom from all stain and corruption. In a phrase, it is a sound mind and in a sound body. So when you have health is actually having a sound mind and a sound body. All right. So health, it comes from what we're going into in our next topic, which is holistic. What holistic means. Holistic is the same meaning for health. Holistic is being holy in your mind and body, being a whole individual in mind and body. It's a balance there. It's an alignment. It's a completeness, you know. So the mind and body, you can't have a good mind and have a bad body, because a man who have a perfect mind, then he's going to take care of his body. And a person who is perfect in their body, he will have to have a great mind to think it and create it. You know. So when you bring those two together, they're always going to be together. They're always going to be together. They can't be separated. So and our idea is to get us to health. Our strive is to get towards health, which is a sound mind in a sound body. Now, what is sound? You know, without mar, without issues. According to Dr. Shelton, it was fitness of life, freedom of action, harmony of functions, and vigor and freedom from all stain and corruption. According to him, he said health is a condition of perfect development, a state of wholeness and harmonious development and growth and adaptation of part to part, of organ to organ within the organism. So every organ and cell and tissue is the perfection of what it's supposed to be. And they all are operating at their greatest height, their optimum level. There is none lacking in any of the cells. I mean, from the head to the toenail. Every organ and tissue is operating at their optimum level. That's wholeness. That's sound. That's complete. With no part stunted and no part in excess. In this state of organic development lies the perfection and symmetry of beauty. Now, what is beauty? He goes on to say, beauty is but the reflection of wholeness, of health. It is easy to demonstrate that the form and proportions of man and of every animal and plant, which are their highest and most perfect state, are also the most beautiful. You know, roses that are perfectly is the beautifulest one. The animals that are the healthiest are the most beautiful one. You see a dog around here about to fall apart, you don't say, oh, that's a beautiful sick dog. With all them sores over him, scrawny looking and all type of stuff. Oh, he's just whole. That's a healthy dog. But health reflects beauty. Beauty reflects health. Beauty is the image of health. That's why we see even these children are more beautiful than these adults, because they're more healthier. We look at some of our pictures when we were younger to our pictures now. We say, "Oh man, I had that beautiful skin and my hair was lovely and I was trimmed and fine. And look at me now. I look like this big blob and I got my hair falling out, my teeth falling out. And I can't see. I got glasses on. My skin is irritated. I got rashes all over my body." So you see the difference in what health is and beauty. You say, "I'm not as fine as I was when I was in high school, when I was in middle school," and different things of that nature, because your lifestyle hasn't gotten so toxic yet that you produce disease in your body. See, when you were in school, you haven't gone out into the life worrying, stressing about bills and children and keeping a job and out into the world drinking and smoking and eating crazy as you possibly can, up having sex all night and not getting rest. You have no one to answer to. You're your own boss now, and you're just living haphazard because you are unaware of what health is or how to create health. You're just living because the world tell you to live the way you live. The world tell you should be out partying. Don't just sit in the house. Come out to our club and get some drinks and eat some fish and shrimps and chicken and just enjoy life because tomorrow we die. So don't take no regard of your life. Just enjoy yourself. Leave that 9 to 5 up on the shelf and come out and enjoy yourself. You know. But Dr. Shelton says that beauty is, health is the reflection of beauty, and beauty is the reflection of health. He also says in another part that the highest beauty is the expression of the highest health. Now, he also says something here, and I want you to listen to it. He said, when every bone is of the best form and size for its service in the total organism, there's perfect proportion. Now, Dr. Shelton talking about the ideal perfect being. But this is what the image we need to have. This is the state that we need to start having kids and raising our kids in. Now, I know we might not be able to see ourselves there now, but this is what we need to model what health is. We need a true image of what health is. And he's giving you a true image of what health is, what to model yourself by. Am I off the mark? When every bone is of the best form and size for its service in the total organism, there is perfect proportion. When every muscle is fully and proportionately developed, with just enough fat in the cellular tissues to round out the muscle, we have the highest beauty of form. When the texture of the skin is finest and the circulation of the blood most vigorous, the body well nourished and freed of all waste, there is the glow and charm of the finest complexion. I had a young lady who will be coming up here in just a couple of weeks, and she did something for herself that is amazing. And I haven't seen her in like I saw her before she started doing what she did, and I know how she looked. And she visited me a couple of days ago. She drove down from Atlanta and visited me. And when she walked in the door, I mean, wow, man, I could see a big difference in this young lady. Her body was more symmetrically shaped. Her skin was glowing, radiant. Her eyes was clear and bright. Her smile was amazing. She didn't look foggy and distant like how I remember her looking off always in her thoughts, worrying and stuff. It's like she just had an amazing experience that she created in her world from the changes that she made when me and her first talked a couple of weeks ago. And she decided to, take a journey of health, or, partial beauty, fading beauty, decaying beauty. These are but expressions of partial, fading, or decaying health. So health is the highest state of being where there is no type of issues going on with the body. The body is operating from its highest level of operation. But when that beauty, when those, it start fading and it start decaying, tooth decaying and eyesight going away from us, and all these different things that we see in older age, that is showing that our health is decaying. But it's not just in older age. We see this even in youngsters who are living a haphazard lifestyle, or have, or in environments that wearing them out prematurely, or coming from parents that are, decayed already before they had them. You think about two runts giving birth to a bunch of pretty much half dead dogs. Beauty belongs to glowing health and perfection of organization. It is impossible for us to separate these ideals. We cannot picture health in terms of the conventional, or for contemporary man is far short of this wholeness of organization, vigor of function that is health. Now, Dr. Shelton, he sometimes can get a lot of scientific in his way of talking and have to be deciphered a little bit. But, if you study science a lot and you are a health geek, that sounds like beautiful poetry to me. It sounds like the greatest song ever sung when I read his literature. He's a great, teacher of hygiene and health, and he helped so many people correct their health issue, and help give me a lot of the knowledge of what I know today from following in his footsteps, all the stuff he did prior to, me coming into this knowledge of holistic health and natural hygiene that I share with you today. But when we look at holistic health and healing, or when we go on to look at holistic health and healing, because there's no but there. That's a period after what I said about him. But when we go on to look at holistic health and healing, we see that, you have to have a sound body and a sound mind. It's like, for example, having a car and you don't have no gas and you don't have no electricity, but you have the greatest car possible. Well, it can't be the greatest car because it's useless. I don't care how beautiful it look or whatever. It's useless. So it's not great. It's suffering because it's just a hunk of junk because it can't get you from point A to point B because there's no gas and there's no electricity to crank that boy up. Now, what if you had the greatest electricity, but no gas, and the body was all beat up and falling to the ground? The tires were flat, or you didn't have no tires at all, no brakes. The body was just shot. What good is having the best Duracell battery man can get? I mean, optimum battery that crank it own self up. What good is having that? It's useless. It can't run a bunch of junk that doesn't have any gas or tires on it. What good is having a tank full of gas and that hunk of junk and a dead battery? So you see the importance of having all the workings of the car working properly to go from point A to point B to be effective. That's a good car. If the car can have, imagine this car being immaculate, made of gold, pristine white out on the inside, gold plated, gold, whole gold rims, brakes of gold, everything in there just gold out, and everything of precious stones. You got emeralds lining the floorboard, and I mean, you got the best battery known to man riding on jet fuel. Now you got it, man. You might have a jet flying on the street. This is what Dr. Shelton is talking about when he talk about uh, what we need to model is health, being straight perfection, not hanging on a thread just because we got a quarter tank of gas and we got a battery that we can go there and tap and jump off and that don't mean that our car is running perfectly. We got to get jumped every time we go to crank up the car. We got to borrow somebody cable. We got to cipher out somebody gas. We got to, we barely can, we got to plug the tires every couple of days because they got nails all in them and they're going flat. Our brakes don't really stop. We have to, use our emergency brakes all the time. We have no AC in there. It's leaking. The windows don't go up. Everything's going on with the car, but it still go from point A to point B. So long as we're going, we saying, "Hey, I'm okay," and that's what we're doing in this body. Long as it don't have us in a sick bed, crying and screaming in pain, I'm okay. When in actuality, we're sick, we're suffering. And what we need to do is address and model ourselves for what true health is and reach and strive for that. Get our body back sound. Get our mind sound. Get our body sound. Get our feeling world sound. And we do this by aligning ourselves up with a natural way of living, a natural way of thinking, a natural way of feeling. Get away from the worldly way of doing things, the worldly way of eating, the worldly way of, the dietitians believe that we supposed to be eating 10 meals a day and we need to be snacking in between that and we need to be drinking sodas and we need to be eating huge amounts of meat and we need to be eating nuts and with our fruits and we need to be eating everything at one meal. We don't need to space out. Even though our stomach can only digest one item of food at one time, let's just cram everything in there. That's what the dietitians tell us, and they're the medical gurus. They're the one out here on the wide stream news teaching about health. They tell you can throw everything into your stomach, like your stomach is got multiple chambers to deal with different foods. It's like putting everything in the oven at the same time. That requires different length of time of cooking and require different temperatures. Like you trying to cook everything in the microwave at one time, or in the oven, like I said, at one time. It's not something not going to be cooked properly. You have something that requires 10 hours in the oven and something that requires 5 hours, and you take both of them out at the same time. The one that required 10 hours is not going to be completely done. But if you're putting these foods in your stomach at the same time and they're being pushed out at the same time, then something is either overdone or the other one is underdone. That's why you see animals in nature, they eat one item of food at each meal. You don't see them take an assortment of arrays of food like humans have made for themselves. But this is the way we're being taught by our leaders, our experts in the medical field, and these other so-called nutritionists of our time. They have no regards for the physiological impact of digestion, the nature of digestion, how things function in our body. It's believed because they don't see it come back out that it was digested and your body needed that. But a lot of that stuff accumulate or it come out where they can't see it. It come out in the form of acne. It comes out in the form of mucus dripping from your nose, irritating your lungs, irritating your eyes, that itching going on in your ears, that toxins coming out through your skin and your feet and stuff like that. It's coming out of you. It's just not coming out looking like a piece of steak anymore. It's not looking like your cookies and your tater chips no more. Now it looked like disease. It looked like maggots. It looked like worms. It looked like parasites. And it looked like so-called viruses and so-called germs and bacteria and stuff like that. That's what it looks like now. It's no longer look like the cheesy macaroni. It no longer look like the cheesy bread. It no longer look like the Alfredo bacon. All these different foods that we accumulate and eat for food. Now it look like disease. It look like suffering as it come out of the body. Going in the body, yes, it looks and tastes great. But when it comes out, it hurts and it looks disgusting. You know? We don't have that issue when we're eating the natural diet of mankind, when we're eating the fresh fruits and vegetables, the nuts and seeds. You know, we have none of those issues. The body actually uses that stuff. But I want to encourage you to, make sure you follow our show every week, at 6 o'clock. If you have any questions, like I said, just post it. Our producer put it up on the across the screen, and we're reading, and we're, help you understand what you have going on in your life, that you can stop suffering that sickness. But me myself, I'm thinking that I'm so thorough. Y'all got me with the big head around here, thinking I'm so thorough on teaching holistic health that you just don't have no question. I go in other lives and different things, and people have all kind of questions and stuff like that about what they're talking about. But for some reason, I barely get any questions or anything like that. So I'm hoping that y'all got me with the big head, thinking that I'm thorough in my way of teaching. There is no question left. I don't leave no stone unturned or something like that. All right, now y'all don't be giving me the big head like that. But nonetheless, we want to make sure that we keep topics available to help you understand how to go into this way of health. We natural as health, y'all. So it's natural, and that's why you're seeing me comparing the world way of doing things with the natural way of doing things, because we natural as F. The world is unnatural. They got their own way of doing things. They producing new ways of doing things. They experimenting. Every change of activity that they bring about is a new experiment to see if this works, if that works. Why are we experimenting on something that all we have to do is go back to nature on? All we have to do is look at nature. Nature is the best doctor there is. Nature is the best scientist there is. Things been going on in nature before man and science ever been thought about. The wind was blowing, the sun was shining, the rain was coming down, the grass was growing, fruits and stuff was going about, colds was coming, and people were getting over their little sicknesses, and all this stuff was going on way before mankind came with all this science and medicine and stuff like that. When man came with all his science and medicine, and we started seeing new issues come into the world, stuff that wasn't in back in those days, when it was just, people had to deal with their little colds and their little flus and stuff, and just dealt with it by not eating and stopping their bad way of living. But now with the medicines, people are now able to continue their bad habits. Just take a pill. You can go back to eating. Go get this therapy. You can go back to smoking. Get your neck cracked, and you can eat all the hamburgers you want. You can drink all you want. You just need an adjustment. Like the adjustment is what's producing your high blood pressure. Like the adjustment is, not being adjusted is what's causing your high sugar levels to be sustained in your blood. You're not being adjusted is the problem for your headaches and your breathing disorders, or the lack of sticking yourself with pins in little joint areas and stuff like that is the reason for your health issue, or the lack of you ingesting poison. All these different medicinal and herbal cures and remedies and treatments all follow the same concept. They all are damaging and poisonous to nature and the metabolic process, meaning that they interfere with the natural processes that the body is going through. The coughing, the sneezing, the diarrhea, whatever the body is doing is trying to get rid of something. And when we interfere with that, it ain't gonna do nothing but set up other issues later. That's why I said when science and medicine came into the picture, that's when we started having these new diseases coming about, these new crises of healing coming about, these new ailments, these deformities, and all manner of sicknesses is coming about from our magically using all this voodoo concept of healing. And we've abandoned nature. We've abandoned the natural way of doing things, you know. So let's get back to the natural way of doing things that we can no longer, suffer our disease. And what is health? What do we model health by? Being of a sound body and a sound mind. And a lot of us still don't know what that sound body and sound mind really is until we get to that. And then, boy, we'll be like, wow, I only wish I always been like this. But we can look at the kids. That's the image of it right there. That's the image of it. The baby coming out fully powerful, fully energized, not suffering from any of your diabetes and high blood pressures and stuff like that. But in the way that we're doing things now, we're creating that even in our children from our haphazard way of living and stuff. We're seeing it dwindle down into the kids now. That's letting you know that our ways of being is more destructive. With all this medical advancement and science advancement, why is it now that our children suffering from diseases that it was only old people diseases back in the days when we didn't even have the science, when we didn't even have no chemotherapy, when we didn't even have that many cancer people in the world before chemo came about. But now with chemo, we have way more people suffering and dying from cancer than ever before. Where is this? All this different medicine advancement, this medical advancement brought on, the more medical advance, the more sick we're getting, the more harm is being caused to humanity. But we're not paying attention to it. We're not being made aware of it. Each scientist get up there and confess that his cure is what's going to heal mankind, provided that you keep funding his laboratory. He's promising you cures, long as you keep sending funds to his laboratory. Long as his laboratory is all, and if his laboratory look like it's about to lose funding, he initiate another means to get more funding. Hey, boy, it's a dreaded thing on the rise. Y'all don't want to stop funding us right now because we're coming up with a new vaccine, and we're coming up with a new this, or we're coming up with a new that. All this we're gonna come up with to make sure that we keep you, safe. You're going to be sick if you don't keep us about. Who's going to protect y'all if our laboratories is not active? Well, we can protect ourselves if we start eating right and we start being manipulated with this marketing from these you say hypnotic specialists who hypnotize us and believing in the way of the world and our eating and our drinking and our way of living. We need people who are gonna, teach what health is. We need health doctors, doctors that's gonna teach health, and that's what we do. We teach health. We don't teach disease. We just teach health. What is health? Getting fresh air, getting sunlight, eating the right food, drinking the right clean water, staying away from toxic people, keeping the will to live, getting regular exercise, maintaining normal temperatures, keeping cleanliness. So we teach health. Health teachers. Health, that's what doctor meant, is just a teacher. Doctor only means teacher. Doctor don't mean you have to be around here giving people drugs, prescribing medicine and stuff. That's just a medical doctor. He's a medical doctor. He's a teacher of medicine. He teach people how to use medication to suppress and palliate their symptoms. We are health teachers or health doctors, natural health doctors. So we teach you natural health concepts that get rid of your symptoms. We don't suppress them. We get rid of them. We remove them out of your life for good, provided you don't go back to that lifestyle that produced them. But if you maintain that lifestyle that we teach you, your problems disappear and they never to return again. This is the way of natural hygienic concept. We want to thank you for allowing us to come into your home, come into your phone, and intervene into your life for this little hour. And we ask that you visit us next week at 6 o'clock again. Well, we're going to have some interesting topics to talk about and to carry you even deeper or higher. I don't know which one is the correct way to say it, but we're going to deeper in meaning and higher in elevation. Let's say it like that, into holistic health and healing. Because why? Because we natural as F, and become natural as F with us. So best of health and happiness, and we'll see you next week. All right? Best of health.
like that.